We are only 3 weeks away until Nebraska kicks off their final game of the season in Las Vegas, Nevada versus the number 15th ranked Utah Utes, and the Huskers have a huge problem on their hands. Who are we going to start at quarterback? So in today's video, I'm going to give you a massive update around TJ Lateef and his injury. Is he expected to play in the bowl game? What's been going on behind the scenes? And if he doesn't play, who's going to start? Will it be Jalyn Gramstad? Will it be Davila? The pros and cons of both of those candidates. Who gives us the best opportunity to win? An update around Emmett Johnson, whether or not he will play in the bowl game. A couple other players I have my eyes out for, and everything else you need to know. So really quick, this is a loaded update. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And also, the content, it is just speeding up. This is the only channel in Nebraska YouTube that posts daily content, talking transfer portal, talking coaching carousel, talking the bowl game. If you want to stay in tune with the Huskers this offseason, it's no burner. Take 2 seconds, join the family. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. We are only 3 weeks away until Nebraska travels to Las Vegas, Nevada to take on one of the best teams in America, the number 15th ranked Utah Utes. And I believe Utah by far is the best team we'll play all season long. They're definitely better than USC. I also believe they're better than Michigan. But with that being said, Nebraska has a real opportunity to go in there and shock a lot of people. However, the Huskers have a problem on their hands. Who are we going to start at quarterback? Now, I'll start off with TJ Lateef. We know that he started the past 3 games for Nebraska ever since Dylan Raiola went down with the fibula injury. And against Iowa, TJ Lateef suffered a medium-level hamstring strain. Now, it was not a tear, but it was a hamstring strain, and he is not practicing this week. He's not expected to practice next week either. And best case scenario with TJ, he's back out about a week before the bowl game. But worst case scenario, and this is a very real possibility, he doesn't play at all. He's done for the season, and we put in a new name. So talking about TJ Lateef again, he's not practicing this week with a hamstring strain. It's a lingering injury. It's not something that goes away very quickly. I mean, we've dealt with a lot of hamstring strains this season, right? In particular with Malcolm Hartzog, with Mario Buford, with Quinn Ives. And really, when you have a hamstring strain like TJ Lateef suffered, you're going to be out for at the very minimum a month, if not 2 months. So I know it's going to be a month until, in between Iowa and Utah, people say, well, he's enough time to recover, to get ready. That's not really the case. With a hamstring, it's a very delicate muscle. You don't want to mess with it. And even if TJ Lateef does play in the bowl game, which again is a possibility he plays, he's definitely not going to be 100%. And the best part about TJ's game, being mobile, getting out to the pocket, making plays off script, you're not going to be able to see that because, again, that hamstring is going to be bothering him, even if he does recover to high level. Again, best case scenario, he's just not going to be 100%. Worst case scenario, he does not play at all. So we'll watch this. We'll monitor this with TJ. Again, confirmation, though, he's not practicing today. This is the first day of bowl practice. He will not practice at all next week. And again, if he does not play, who steps up in his absence? And honestly, by the way, I think it was terrible that we didn't take him out of the bowl game versus Iowa. We should have identified that he was injured and put in Davila, put in Jalyn Gramstad. The fact that he kept gutting out versus Iowa, that's a testament to his character, but we should have identified that because if we got him out sooner, he probably would have been 100% for Utah. But with that being said, I'd say right now he's a 50-50. We have to have a conversation about who's going to start in his absence. Will it be Jalyn Gramstad, or will it be Purdue transfer from a 4-star Davila? Well, there's really 2 ways you can look at it. You either look at it through you start the quarterback, whoever benefits your future the most, or you start the quarterback who, simply put, gives you the best chance to win. Now, the way I'm looking at it is I want to put out the quarterback who benefits our future the most, because you could argue this game is a wash. We're playing a very talented team. Regardless who we put out there, it's not looking good for Nebraska. We know a bowl game is mostly about preparing for next season. You're putting a lot of young guys, freshmen, sophomores, trying to prepare for 2026. So I really want to start the quarterback, whoever is going to give us the best chance for 2026. But the coaching staff wants to win, and they might just start the quarterback who gives them the best chance to defeat Utah. So with those 2 pieces of criteria, who fits that category? Who benefits our future the most? And who gives us the best chance to win? Let's start off with Jalyn Gramstad, of course, senior for Nebraska. This is his final year eligibility, his final game with the Big Red. Of course, he transferred in from an NAIA school. He was a national champion there. He was a state champion in high school. This is somebody who's won throughout his college career, but you could argue he's not a Big Ten material. And right now, he is the backup quarterback for Nebraska. So if we're just basing this off of the depth chart, he would be the next man up. But my question to you, do you believe in your heart of hearts that Jalyn Gramstad is good enough to upset the 15th best team in America? Jalyn Gramstad's a guy who I think has a very high floor. Like, he's not going to go out there and stink it up. He's not going to go out there and throw 5 interceptions and look incompetent, but he's somebody with a high floor, very low ceiling. So, and I told you guys this in the offseason around Jalyn Gramstad, if he ever started a game for Nebraska, it's an awful scenario. He's not ever going to will us to a win against a team like Utah or Michigan or Iowa or USC. The best case of Jalyn Gramstad, he could play against a team like Purdue and Northwestern and kind of be like a Heinrich Haarberg and, will us to a very close victory. That's what he can do. But when you watch this film, especially when I've seen him in person at these practices, I've seen him in the spring game this past year. He's somebody who does not have great arm strength. He really can't throw the ball over 40 yards. He doesn't have a good build on him. He's listed at 6 foot tall. I'd say he's about 5'10", right? He's kind of like a Russell Wilson away without the arm strength, without the mobility. I mean, he is mobile, but not that mobile. He's not super fast. His accuracy is not very suspect, or is very suspect. He kind of throws a wobbly spiral. But I will say this about Jalen Gramstad. While the arm talent objectively is not very good, and there's a reason why he was an NAIA quarterback, he does know the playbook at a very high level. He knows the offense at a high level. And that's why I believe he's a very high floor guy where, again, he's not going to go stink it up. He's a smart quarterback. He's not going to throw the ball in harm's way, but he's not somebody who's just going to will his team to win. Okay, the best is going to be a game manager who hands the ball off to Emmett Johnson, whoever our running back is, and just prays for victory. We also know this around Jalen Gramstad. If you were to start him, it doesn't really benefit your future at all because he's gone next year. He's not going to be here. He might be a part of this coaching staff next year, but he's not going to be a backup for you in 2026 or 2027. Whereas the other candidate might be. Or Marcus Davila might even start for you next season if he plays well. So that brings us to our next candidate. What do we do with Marcus Davila? Because as it stands, Marcus Davila is our third string quarterback. He's behind Jalen Gramstad in the depth chart. However, I'll say this about Marcus Davila. He's the opposite of Jalen Gramstad, where he doesn't know the playbook as well as Gramstad. He doesn't know the offense as well as Gramstad, but he has such a higher ceiling than Gramstad. He has a higher ceiling and a lower floor, where there is a possibility Marcus Davila goes out there and stinks it up. There is a possibility. He's kind of a reckless quarterback in a way. Watch his high school film. He has the arm talent. He can throw it 67 yards. It's unbelievable, great accuracy. But because of the fact that he, really is not familiar with the Big Ten, really hasn't played any real snaps, hasn't played at any level in college, he might go out there and get really, really hurt Nebraska. However, his ceiling's through the roof. And sometimes you can't really evaluate these quarterbacks until you actually see them in person playing against a real team. And there's a real possibility where Marcus Davila is a part of a quarterback battle next year with TJ Lateef, with a another transfer we bring at the quarterback spot, assuming Dylan Ra's gone. So if Marcos goes out there and balls out, which is in his capabilities, again, he has phenomenal arm talent, it gives you confidence, okay, maybe he can give TJ a run for his money next year. Or here's the caveat, he could ball out and he could leave because he's getting interest nationwide from some other schools. So it's a very nuanced situation. I'll say this, though. Jalen Gramstad, in my eyes, gives us about a 1% chance to win. Okay, again, low ceiling, high floor. He's never going to will us to a win. He's not going to do anything extra. And you need to do a little bit something extra to beat number 15 Utah. Marcus Davila, in my eyes, gives us a better opportunity to win. Again, it's a lot more suspect, right? He could allow us to get blown out. Jalen Gramstad, I think, will keep it respectable. Look, if Marcus Davila goes out there, we could get blown out. But there's also unprecedented amount of potential because we've literally never seen this guy play. So that's my question to you. Who gives us the best chance to win? I absolutely believe it's Marcus Davila. And who benefits our future the most? Everybody should believe that's Marcus Davila. No question about it. But I do believe the coaching staff will make this call based on who gives them the best opportunity to win. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be Jalen Gramstad. If, of course, TJ Lateef can't play. And in that scenario, it's going to be ugly, guys. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly. Like Jalen Gramstad, he's fine. Again, he knows the offense. But when you're playing a top-tier team like Utah, you need a difference maker at quarterback. You cannot have a game manager. You can't have a quarterback who can't throw the ball over 40 yards, who throws wobbly spirals like Jalen Gramstad does. So it's something that we'll monitor. And again, hopefully TJ plays. But I'll tell you this around TJ once again, even if he does suit up, which I think it's more likely than not he will play, he's still not going to be 100%. And there's a possibility, and I hate to say this, where he goes out there, he suffers through his hamstring, and he might get injured at some point. Because again, if he gets hit in that hamstring, he could strain a little bit more. That happens. Okay, hamstrings, it's very, very likely that once you suffer the first time, it'll get worse, especially if you're running on it. So he could make it worse, or he could just not be the quarterback that he normally is. So we have a huge problem on our hands, but absolutely let me know your thoughts down below. All right, let's get to an update around a couple other players I have eyes out for, who's going to play in the bowl game, who won't. Emmett Johnson is very interesting. Now, of course, we talked about a couple days ago on the channel that I expect him to enter the NFL draft. However, I also believe that he was going to play in the bowl game. Of course, just a day later, he did declare for the NFL draft, but he has made it unclear whether or not he will actually suit up in the bowl. So again, I'm sure we're going to get clarification pretty quickly here. I'll tell you right now, though, I think Emmett's going to play. I really, really think Emmett's going to play. Now, I'm not sure if he's decided. Again, a lot of people are saying he won't play in the bowl game, but this is somebody who he knows there's unfinished business, and he's not coming back next season. He wants to end this year with his boys, with the team. And we know that really Emmett, the only way we beat Utah is through him. Okay, if you have a backup quarterback out there, let's say Jalyn Gramstad is our starter. If you have Jalyn Gramstad out there without Emmett Johnson, so your starting quarterback is Jalyn Gramstad, your starting running back is Mekhi Nelson, multiple wide receivers might be out, multiple offensive linemen are going to be out. Oh my goodness, we might lose by 50. So not only does Emmett give us the only chance to win, Emmett really gives us the only chance to keep this game even competitive. He was our offense all year long, even when Dylan was healthy. Like, we couldn't even move the football with Dylan unless it was with Emmett. So if Emmett's out, man, it's going to be tough sledding for Nebraska. But I do think he'll play. I'm sure we're going to get clarity. I could be wrong. But with somebody with his high of a character, and I know, again, the cons outweigh the pros. It would probably not be in his best interest to play. It's definitely not. It's in his best interest to opt out. It's in his best interest to get rid for the NFL right now. Because, again, there's a lot more harm that can come than good. And I told you guys, if we were playing in a better bowl game, Emmett definitely would play. But the Las Vegas Bowl isn't great. But with that being said, I do expect Emmett to suit up. And again, we'll get clarity very soon. But if he doesn't play, man, just know it's going to be rough sledding. It is going to be rough and tough sledding there in Las Vegas. And then a couple other guys I want to talk about. Again, it was just announced that Dasan, he has declared for the NFL draft. However, he will play in the bowl game. So that's huge for Nebraska. I expect him to not play in the bowl game for everything I heard, but he will suit up for the Huskers. So again, we need all hands on deck, especially on the defensive side of the football, especially with his pass rush, because really the few games where Dasan didn't play, that's when our pass rush was at its worst. I'm really not a proponent that Dasan lived up to expectations. I don't believe he was phenomenal this year. He definitely wasn't, the former four-star that, he was propped up to be coming out of high school. I still think he's going to get drafted in the NFL because his potential is still through the roof. But again, he only had 2 sacks, right? Paid him a lot of money to come in here and get 2 sacks and barely get pressures. But with that being said, I'm happy he's playing in the bowl game because he's certainly better than some of the other edge rushers we have on the team. And then talking about the rest of the roster, who's going to play, who won't. Again, it was already announced that Rocco Spindler will not play in the bowl game just because he's already dealing with a broken hand, right? He suffered through at the end of the season, but he will not suit up in the bowl game. So that's definitely going to hurt us, right? Rocco was arguably our best offensive lineman. I would say he was our second best offensive lineman. So we're going to be down one man there. We're going to be down probably a couple wide receivers to the portal, right? Again, we'll get some clarity soon. There's some rumors around Jacory Barney. There's some rumors around Nyziah Hunter. Again, Dane Key, TBD, whether or not he'll play in the bowl game, right? There were some rumors around him. I would expect Dane Key too, though. But again, so we're going to be down multiple guys on offense. It's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard for us to move the football against Utah. I'll just say that. As for the defensive side, honestly, I don't really expect any opt-outs. Yeah, I don't think we'll have really any opt-outs on defense. The only guys who won't play are guys who are currently banged up, which really no one's banged up, or guys who are going to transfer. And really, Andrew Marshall's like the only guy I'm eyes out for. Willis McGahee, maybe. Willis McGahee can play in this ballgame despite the fact that he's redshirted. He can play because redshirts don't matter in bowl games, but that's a guy you might transfer. But other than that, we might have a full defense. So that's really the only thing that we could take to the bank that can give us some optimism ahead of this game versus Utah. So, yeah, obviously not a great bowl bid. But I will say this. Here's the silver lining. I think we can keep it competitive. You just never know what's going to happen in bowl games. And I told you guys all month long, I would prefer Nebraska to play the best team we possibly can because that's going to benefit us in 2026. We weren't going to win a bowl game anyways, right? We're not a very good football team. We weren't going to beat Tennessee. We weren't going to beat LSU. So might as well play the best team possible. That's going to benefit the young guys, and they'll be able to roll going into 2026. All right, guys, let me know thoughts down below. Hey, if you made it this far, hit the like button and subscribe. As always, subscribe, go, roll, and I'll see you in the next one.